Welcome to Just the Tip, a fantasy football podcast with your tippers, Matt, Disfatt-Bidge.
These are just our tips, so take them easy, take them hard. It's up to you.
Ryan, the Tagless Haynes.
Most bizarre Haynes 3-5 that there's ever been.
And Matt, I.R. Regan.
Yeah, I hear you, and I definitely would take the shot on it because you'd be dumb not to.
Coming to you from the heart of New England. Get ready to take some tips.
It's about time I changed that intro video a bit. I hate my
think?
voice. I hate my voice.
3 years ago, those videos are rough.
No. Yeah, just two. Welcome in, takers, to Just a Tip, a fantasy football podcast. As you heard, I am Mac Disfatt-Bidge. We got IR Regan in the house, who's struggling a little bit. How you doing?
Struggle is a great way to put this. I mentioned it to you guys earlier, but I haven't had that much Coors Light since I was 17, 16 years old, and I feel it.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you do. We had a rough night.
He means 21. He means 21.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. 18. I did it in Portugal.
Yeah, or you could do it in England at what, 16, Jake?
18 over here. 18 over here. But
Right.
most of us just start drinking from about 7 or 8.
Yeah, at least. We got Ryan the Tagless Haynes in the house. How you doing, Ryan?
What's up, fellas? Doing good. I look how I feel. We're all in the same boat, but I'm ready to get this show on the road here.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, without further ado, we got our special guest here, Jake Dynasty Brit on Twitter. Give him a follow. He is a fantasy football enthusiast, just dynasty tips coming at you for you takers out there. So we're going to get into our QB, well, his QB rankings and running backs mostly. Then we'll touch on wide receivers and tight ends and kickers. Who wrote kickers here? Regan?
That was you, and I laughed really hard when I read it. I was like, this guy's an idiot.
I hope you did. That will give you some sleepers there as well. But yeah, if you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and like the video, and then you got the chapters there. So if you want to focus on running backs, I put the timestamps in there for you to make it easier for you takers out there. So if you have not met Jake before, go back last season. Look for the Dynasty Brit special, and he'll give you a rundown of all his expertise on that. I'll put a link in the description. But since we're short on time, let us get to the tip-off. I don't know. We need a new drop for that. All right.
We need to make a drop. I don't think that's a drop.
What? You couldn't hear it? My bad. All right. Tip-off question. Jake, over under 17.5 leagues. How many in this year?
Under. I've significantly reduced.
I was going to say over.
If you watched last year, he said he was going to have to cut back this year. I think it's significant.
Yeah, he's an addict, though. I didn't believe him. All right. Seriously, though. A lot of news going on about Bryce Young being the favorite for the first overall, so the odds changed tremendously. We had CJ Stroud, I think, minus 250, and then Bryce Young was plus 200, so that's what I got in on. But now he's minus 350, and CJ Stroud is, I will double check on that, but Houston.
Probably about the same. Probably about plus 200, I would say.
I think so. I was going to update him because from what I wrote here, but what do you think's going on, Jake? I
think it's I think this one is this is all because of Bryce's intangibles. Now he's starting to meet teams. He's had the pro day, he's had the combine, right? And like he's meeting with teams at length and sitting down with them and talking with them for hours and hours. And they really start to actually get a sense of how like incredible this guy is, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. And how his intangibles are as impressive as his accuracy, his like reading of the game in the pocket and what have you. So I think he's got elite traits. And I think everyone knew that. And then like obviously CJ Stroud has got elite traits as well. And but I think where he started to separate himself is definitely coming from those meetings with the teams.
He's a good
So
salesman
yeah,
of himself.
it's plus 320 on CJ Stroud and minus 450 for Bryce Young. So
Wow.
Ooh,
it's
that's
a couple weeks ago they were pretty even at like minus 110. So all
yeah.
this reports. And Ryan, we got Houston saying they might just trade out. Like nobody wants Stroud. It's strange. Like he went to being the favorite to now Texans are gonna trade out of the second and not take him.
Yeah, I was to Fox Sports Radio, their Saturday morning show yesterday, and they were talking about how they're pretty confident that the Texans aren't going to go with a quarterback at 2, and they're either going to go Anderson or they're going to trade out of the spot. And then because they're in no rush to add a quarterback, they think they're going to be just as bad as they were last year. They think they'll probably have a pretty good shot at like Caleb Williams or one of the top quarterbacks in next year's draft. So pick the best player from this year's draft, maybe get some more assets, and it'll be interesting for sure. They were saying Stroud to Indy was looking more and more like a reality.
Okay. I like that. Regan,
I like it.
you taking Bryce Young first overall?
The only thing that was throwing me off between the two is like the size in comparison to Kyler Murray and stuff like that. That's really what was throwing me off. But I think it's kind of a toss-up at this point. It's so nerve-wracking going into every draft, and you don't really know what these players are going to be like in the NFL. So I'll go with the professionals, what they're leaning to.
Yeah, size isn't everything, though. Don't worry about it. That's what I hear. Anyway. That's what I hear
from experience.
Exactly. That's what your mom told me last night, Ryan.
Oh, Jesus. First one. Over under mom jokes this episode 3.
Mine's over 5.
Smash that over like I smashed your mom. Anyway.
Oh, Jesus.
Under 4 times. Anyway. Well, we'll get more into QBs and stuff, but we are planning on doing a live episode for the first 10 picks of the draft. We'll see how that goes, but you takers want to join us? YouTube, Just a Tip, a fantasy football podcast. It'll be fun. Then you audio listeners join in, throw out some questions, give us your big board. We'll have ours up too, so it'll be fun. We'll have a drinking game and all that. So please join us for draft night in 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks now. Jeez.
Jake said we can't have light beers, by the way.
No light beers. You can have IPAs. But Jake, I just want to give you some plugs. Is there anything particular, any articles that you want to plug real quick? Or
I've had a bit of time off recently from the writing, but I write for a website that focuses on college football called 5 Yard College. They're part of the 5 Yard Rush, sort of like media group. And they're awesome. And we've just had a new guy take over called Simo. I think he's at Simo on Twitter. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to check that. But he's really great. He's had articles on ESPN and stuff like that. And he's like really revamping it. And we're sort of going with like a real different sort of vibe this season with like sort of more think pieces and less just sort of like commentary on games. So yeah, really excited for that. But yeah, give 5 Yard College and 5 Yard Rush a hit up on Twitter and on the website.
Right on, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, and follow Jake at Dynasty Brit on Twitter as well. Some good stuff there, some good takes. A little satire article you had too as well on college football. That was fun last year. Good stuff, man. All right, guys. I want to just play a little bit of a game. Not too crazy. You know me. I love my games. But just to put into context on like what these scouting reports are. So I want you guys to guess what this scouting report is. I'll bring the overlay up on YouTube. All right. So weaknesses for this guy. Dominated from the slot. That's so overrated, the slot receiver thing. We'll get into that later, though. On a loaded offensive weapons in 2019, you question his ability to create space on his own. No experience against press coverage. Drops show up decent. Who is this player? It is a wide receiver. He's drafted in 2020.
Oh, all right. I thought it was
Justin
a new one.
Jefferson. It's definitely Justin Jefferson. I thought you were going to ask somebody specifically. Yeah, it's definitely Justin Jefferson.
I was waiting for somebody to guess him. Yep, it's Justin Jefferson. Would anybody want to, maybe pass on Jalen Reagor and take Justin Jefferson? I don't know. Maybe somebody out there.
Oh, that right up.
All right. How about this one here? It's a very long list, but this guy that's a quarterback, he's elusive in the pocket, takes off with the ball. He's an ambitious playmaker, forces defense to cover the entire field. Extraordinary competitor. He must go off. He won the Heisman.
Kyler Murray?
No, not Kyler Murray. Before him, I think like 2015, maybe.
2015,
around there.
Jesus.
Tebow?
Yeah. No, not Tebow. They trashed him.
Oh, jeez.
Josh Rosen? No, Rosen didn't win the Heisman.
Yeah.
That's 18, right?
That was a hint. That was a hint.
That was a hint.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel, it is. Oh, man.
Good job, Jake.
Johnny football.
Yep. So basically, what I'm trying to say here,
Give it away.
sake of time. Basically, what I'm saying is we don't know anything. These experts don't know anything. These are just some educated guesses. So take it with a grain of salt, will you, takers? All right.
True.
Let's get into the QBs. Damn it. I can't multitask. Somebody else has to take over this stuff because I can't do the drop. All right, here we go.
Perhaps play a little game called Just a Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels.
All right, Jake, let's go through your QB rankings. Let's start off. We got Bryce Young. He's your first QB.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm a huge Bama fan anyway, and I've had the pleasure of watching every game of his. I've obviously already touched on his intangibles that's showing up in the meetings with the NFL coaches. His accuracy, his big game moments. He's got everything, like absolutely everything in there. Heisman winner, I think, right? Yeah, not this year, but the year before, yeah.
In 21 he did, yep.
Probably did as much as he could with last year's poor wide receiving options and extended plays all the time. Like he has got like the Patrick Mahomes sort of do things on the fly factor. Maybe it doesn't come out in the league, or it doesn't. I know everyone's very wary of making comms towards Patrick Mahomes, but it's very similar sort of traits that seem to be showing up on his film. And yeah, I just think he's a complete package. I know a few people are understandably worried about the size, but again, like he had a couple of very slight injuries at Alabama, but nothing that's ever kept him out. Do you know what I mean? And as long as he's got a decent offensive line to protect him, he's got no problem making accurate long passes downfield. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's a complete package.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. He's not my first QB, but I love the way he's able to just roll with the punches and improvise and stuff. So any team will be lucky to have him. So I think Carolina would make the right decision drafting him first overall. I get it.
Can I just say I'm pumped for DJ Chark this year. I think he's so under the radar. I think the way Bryce Young is going to extend plays, DJ Chark's going to be open downfield so often.
What about Adam Thielen? 10 touchdowns, right?
Not so much.
Just kidding.
Not so much.
I think Bryce Young could actually roll out of the pocket and run past Adam Thielen into the end zone before Adam Thielen will get there.
Just throw his own touchdown to himself. I love it.
Exactly. Hopefully, Terrace Marshall Jr. can get out there and get some fantasy relevance this year. All right, CJ Stroud. He's good at reading defenses before the snap and stuff, but he's second for you.
Yeah, I think again, really a really high ceiling for him as a player in the league. I just think what we've seen of CJ Stroud is everything catered to his strengths in an offense that's not easy to run, but has lots of high level options, 5-star wide receivers, Do you know what I mean? Coming out of their ears at Ohio State. So, and he's with an incredibly offensive offensive coach. So I think we haven't seen CJ Stroud in like really, really tough situations. I mean, obviously there was that playoff game in Georgia against Georgia where he showed up big, which obviously gives you like loads of confidence for his future. I don't think he's got like the same sorts of intangibles as Bryce, like that cool, calm collectedness in the pocket, like almost relishing the like 2-minute drill situation. His accuracy is off the charts. He's obviously got the size. And if he can replicate the similar sort of success that he's had at Ohio State, like he's going to be, like a really great quarterback for years to come.
They have a knock on him where it's like he goes down easy, like Regan's mom. When the pocket collapses, Joe Burrow learned the hard way, and it's like, if the play's over, don't fight it. Just drop. Yeah. Don't hurt yourself. So I don't know why that's a knock on him. I think that's intelligent for QBs to do nowadays. And then you might get a roughing the passer call. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll see. All right. My number one QB, Anthony Richardson. I don't know why he dropped him all the way down to 3, but for fantasy football, I want him. I want him bad.
Take it easy.
Where do you I know.
Right now.
When you watch some tape on him, you get excited. Only the highlights, though. Don't look at the lowlights, please. What are your thoughts on him, Jake?
Obviously, he's like an exceptional athlete, right? He's tested off the charts. I think he's one of the first ever QB to get a relative athletic score of 10 in the combine, which is like, again, insane. The guy has all of the tools except being able to throw a 15-yard out. Like, so it's like he's
1 out of 10.
It's I can see why NFL teams are just absolutely like drooling over this guy. He's a monster. But they're like the side of the game, like for example, like memorizing a playbook and reading defenses and not throwing into double coverage and throwing a screen that's in stride instead of 2 yards behind. Like these are all things he's like massively struggled with at Florida, under a coach that's been lauded previously for his inventive offenses and his ability to do stuff with QBs with limited tool sets. So I don't know. I really don't know. I think if he gets with like the right team that knows how to like unlock that potential and like to coach him into, because like it's the accuracy side of things. Like you can only teach accuracy to a point. Like you look at Cam Newton, right? Like that's the comp, isn't it? That everyone's going back to.
And that's unfair, but yeah.
Yeah, but as soon as Cam lost his athleticism, like he dropped off like do you know what I mean? Like a stone off a cliff. Like so, it's like I really need to see Anthony Richardson pass accuracy against an NFL defense before I'll ever have any faith that he can do anything to the next level.
I mean, he has a quick flick of the wrist like Dan Marino has, but just all the athletic ability that you would want to just scramble out of the pocket and make plays happen. But yeah, you brought up his accuracy. I mean, Josh Allen had poor accuracy too at 56% 1 year in college too. And he started for 3 seasons. And Anthony Richardson's only started for 1. So he's raw. He's steak. He's a nice, fine steak, but he's raw.
He's a porterhouse man for sure.
And you just need the right grill master to chef it up for him. So you got any thoughts on him, Ryan? Regan? Sorry, I haven't been including you in the QB talk. My bad.
It's all good. Right. I'm here listening. I love it.
Right.
Which obviously, I don't know what else to add. Like extraordinary talent. A lot of questions. Production in college was. I mean, last year, what did he have? Like 18 touchdowns, 11 picks. Very,
19
very
passing touchdowns. Yeah.
Big games. Like I think Bama, Georgia. There was a few big games he absolutely just tanked. And so I don't know. We'll see.
But here's the other thing, too. It's like, what weapons did he have there? Not much. There's one receiver that's like marked to be in like the 6th round.
Reminds me of Mac
So-
Jones.
Porter.
Yeah,
Is that
Porter.
Yeah.
Yeah, who he didn't have much. Yeah, 400 yards or something. So, but is it the quarterback or is it his weapons? I don't know. Probably the quarterback. But I just think if he gets somewhere and he sits behind, like I would love him to go to Detroit and sit behind Goff for the next 2 years.
Okay.
We'll see. That's what I want him to go.
Mm.
All right. Who do you want to talk about? Should we even bother with Levi Jeans over here? Or you want to just go with Hendon Hooker?
A quick word on old Levi Jeans. Yeah, bless
All
him.
right. Will Levis, guys.
Will
Will Levis.
Levis,
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Mixing mayo with coffee, absolutely lunatic.
That was a dare. That was a dare. Come on.
That was a dare, was it? Right, okay. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what he claims.
I think he just really fortunately for him, he just looks a lot like Josh Allen, doesn't he? And except when you turn on his film and then you're like, oh no, he's definitely not Josh Allen. Like, he's not even close to Josh Allen. I don't know. I've heard or read a couple of reports again from a few different media outlets that he was kind of arrogant and stuff in meetings and didn't put his best foot forward, so to speak. So I could see him easily falling out of the first.
Oh, same. Yeah, he's not interviewing well, that's for sure. And yeah, his decision making on the field's a problem. I have a feeling like if he does get to start this year, he's gonna put a receiver out there to hang him out to dry, and somebody's gonna get hurt. Just the way he leads his receivers into danger. I'm nervous for him, but yeah, I don't. If he gets taken in the first round, he's gonna be a bust for sure. Sorry. All right, what about Hooker? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Hooker.
No.
I was just going to say the last mock draft I looked at from Pro Football Network, he's taken 30th with the Raiders, which is the lowest I've seen throughout the whole offseason.
I could see that actually because it's like relatively low risk at that point. Right. And quarterback value is, do you know what I mean, is high. So it's do you know what I mean, if he pans out, you're a genius, and if he doesn't, then whatever, it's only a late first. So
yeah, and I think it must have been dependent on a trade because I don't think the Raiders hold the 30th pick. So
no,
they traded up from the second round to jump there. But yeah, I could see that being a reality. Like they already have a first round pick, kind of low risk at that point. See what you got.
Yeah, the Eagles have the 30th right now. The Saints have the 29th. Have them sit behind Derek Carr? Nah, they need help right now.
Yeah,
I don't see that. Minnesota at 23. There we go. Perfect landing spot because they're going to get rid of Kirk Cousins soon. Yep.
I like Saints for Gibbs actually, especially with all this Alvin Kamara stuff that's happened.
Yeah, they're saying that he's going to drop to the second round. I'm like, no, back into the first. Somebody needs him. They're going to take him. Hooker, though, he's coming off his ACL tear. He's old. People talk about 26 by the time the season is going to end. So you have him as your fifth QB or fourth?
Yeah, I think he's a CJ Stroud light for me. In the sense that he's coming from a really, really like not easy to run offense, but an offense that's like, do you know what I mean, wide spreads, loads of options, loads of vertical routes, really stretches defense. Heupel is like a really great offensive coach himself, and it's again one of those ones where he's made some really great throws in some really tight windows, but he hasn't really come up against like really like a complicated offense, and like I think the step for people like Hendon Hooker, like for CJ Stroud, but like definitely Hendon Hooker, much more so, will be like massive going to the NFL. So I just see him, do you know what I mean, struggling to give anyone the sort of franchise vibe.
Yeah. And quarterbacks, it's a very small sample size, but when they come into the league at this age, it just doesn't really work out for him, unfortunately. Yeah. So because wherever he's going, he's not going to start right away. So then he's going to be sitting until he's like 28.
Yeah,
that's a little rough. So we'll see. All right, Ryan, let's move on to running backs here.
Yeah, the most intriguing group, to be honest with you. I think there are a lot of guys who are kind of clumped into kind of the same tier. So I'm curious to get Jake's opinion here. But Jake, we'll run through the list and then just kind of ask you some questions based off of the players you're talking about. So first, obviously, Bijan Robinson, consensus number one. What are your thoughts on him? Anything to add?
There's not really much to add that hasn't been said like 1,000 times by all the NFL analysts and the Twitter sphere and stuff like that. He's a generational talent at running back. The only thing that could hurt him might be a bad landing spot. Like if like the Giants picked him or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or he's picked by the Titans, but they still want to mainly load up Henry with the most of the carries. Like in a situation like that, like we don't get to see the full Bijan, but
at least not this year, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like his talent is almost bust proof, providing he doesn't get injured.
Is there a landing spot that you've seen that you like the most?
I mean, KC, because like that would just be that would be sick. That would be sick. like watching Patrick Mahomes right with a running back like Bijan Robinson would be sickening. But I don't know really. Yeah, I'd quite like to see him against Saints. I don't think he'll be there though. I think he's by 15, 10-15. He's gone. Like I don't even know if he makes it out of the first 10. To be fair. What's the first 10? Yeah. Top 10.
I saw Chad Reuter had a mock draft. Reuter had a mock at 9 to the Bears for Bijan. That's the highest I've seen.
Yeah, I could see that. I could also even see the Cardinals going with him at 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I have so many shares of James Conner, and I'm hoping that he has one more year to take. I can't get shit for him in Dynasty. I just got to roll with him at this point.
Yeah,
I don't.
Seattle don't need him. Colts don't need him.
What about the Falcons? Falcons at 8.
Could. Yeah, Falcons could easily. Yeah.
That would help round out that team.
And
do you think that I don't know if the NFL I think the NFL just devalues running backs.
Devaluing.
I mean, we've talked about this so much. So like top 10, I just don't know. These teams have so much need at other positions, and it's hard. I'm going with a running back who's going to probably have a good. I mean, Bijan, he'll probably be more like 27, 28 before he starts kind of fading off. I could see that. He kind of has that vibe, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Tampa Bay at 19. I don't see him getting past there. So before that, we got the Lions, no. Steelers, no. Washington, maybe at 16.
I don't think if the Bears don't take him, the Eagles are definitely taking him at 10.
Oh my God!
You take the Eagles at 10, yeah.
100%. They've already got a great offensive line. Like they've got the QB.
They let Sanders go. Yeah,
they've let Sanders go. They are one piece away. Like if the Bears don't take him, then the Eagles. I would literally lay my life on the line that the Eagles take him.
Take it easy.
You don't have to do that.
Russian roulette, baby. We got to get Jake on when the Eagles are picking.
All right, let's go.
A lot of clicks there.
All right, let's move on from Bijan. That's enough.
Yeah, sure. Jahmyr Gibbs, you already mentioned you like the Saints at I think 30. Mac had said or 29. Alvin Kamara similarities. You're thinking?
No, definitely. In terms of contact balance, he has a really, really good contact balance. But he's a little bit smaller than Kamara was, and has like slightly different. I think he's a little bit better at running sort of through the tackles up the middle a little bit more, as Kamara is a little bit better at sort of like the jukes and the one cut and go type stuff. Yeah. But then we've seen that from Bijan as well. He can give the one cut and go as well. I just think he's like a really good all-round running back. He's displayed all of the qualities you want from a running back that's going to be like an instant impact on your team.
So where do you think realistically he can go tail end of the first round? Or are you expecting like more of a second round capital from him?
It depends how starry-eyed like the teams like Saints and stuff get at the back end of the first, because obviously there's need there for them, but then they obviously need a lot more as well. So if there's no, I think how the first round shakes out and like sort of what good defensive players are left at the back end of the first round might dictate where players like Jahmyr Gibbs goes, because it will sort of force him further down the line. I think if there's still some decent defensive players, or like maybe players off the O-line that are like that the guys are looking at, because like Saints need O-line, Saints need defensive players. So I'd expect late first, early second though.
And you know what's interesting about the Saints? I think they have 29, and then they think they have like 39 or 40 in the second round. So they have a pretty quick turnaround. So if they pass on him with that first pick that they have, they could come back in the second round and sneak him. That would be pretty interesting. PFN has him 75th to the Falcons. You think there's any world where he drops that deep into the third?
It seems like that just seems like they know that Alabama's fan base are like absolutely nuts when you insult one of their players, and they're just going to get like social media engagement from this list. Like, so you got like all the Bammers photo, do you know what I mean, retweeting it about how awful it is. But I don't think he lasts that late. I don't think he's there at 75. He's too much of an instant impact guy for me.
All right, so you think this list is more of like a troll to Bama fans? That makes sense, because Bryce Young's going 2 and Stroud's going 1. So, yeah, that lines up. All right, so Charbonnet is number 3 on your list. I really like him a lot. You want to talk about some of his skills, his skill set?
Yeah, like I really like him. He's got I always again like careful with making comps, but like the Nick Chubb comp. So I think he's
yes, absolutely.
Really patient runner, like really good vision, like build speed, can run through the tackles, got a great frame to take a load of carries. I think he's sort of like, because of how good Bijan and Gibbs, and again also Gibbs is like tier 2, are like, I think he's kind of been overlooked a little bit. Also, he plays in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 just doesn't get any eyes on its games compared to the SEC or the Big Ten, or do you know what I mean? So, or the Big 12. So yeah, I think he's been a little bit overlooked, and I definitely have him like clearly above A-Chain.
So I'm gonna go back to PFN. I'm not trying to nitpick this mock draft, but players over Charbonnet: Spears at 84, Evans at 91, A-Chain at 114, Charbonnet at round 4, 124.
Yeah. Again, that's it. I don't see it. I think Charbonnet's much more NFL ready than all of those players that have been mentioned in my eyes, especially from what you see on the tape. I think that shows through.
You took the words out of my mouth. If you watch his film, this guy's not going in the 4th round. He's an absolute beast. He's like 5'9", 5'10". I think he's like 220. He's got the NFL size for sure. It's like those Maurice Jones-Drew thighs, where if you kind of just bounce off of them. So he's like Quadzilla 2.0.
When there's a guy coming right in your face and he just sits in there and delivers it really well.
Yeah, I like a Mark Ingram comp for him as well, to be fair, like a Mark type comp for him. But yeah, I really, really like him as a prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of my favorites. I think, to me, I'm going to go with 3 guys here, and I'm going to say that they're about the same to me from watching a little bit of film on them. Evans, Tucker, Bigsby, all to me are like inconsistent, kind of slow, not super explosive, but decent like backup running backs, like Samaje Perine. I feel like it's a good comp for all of those guys. I don't know. Tell me if you disagree or agree.
The one I would disagree with slightly would be Evans. He's a 5-star recruit. He had a really crazy recruitment and ended up at TCU alongside Kendra Miller and a couple of other guys, and sort of shared the backfield there. Then went to Ole Miss, shared the backfield with Judkins. But he's got like I'm not sure what's going on with him off the field and stuff like that. I think it's a little bit complicated, but there's definitely sort of like what the NFL refers to as like character concerns with him. Yeah. But he has like that explosive talent, the breakaway speed, the like all of the sort of things you expect to see from like a high level NFL running back. It's just whether teams will like have a faith in him, I think.
I was a little concerned that he transferred to Ole Miss and then didn't get the starting job. Like he was out carried for the majority of the season. And last year, if you were looking at mock drafts for this rookie draft, it was like Zach Evans was 2. He was generally above Jahmyr Gibbs. And I just don't, it was like he had all the intangibles, but then he wasn't getting the opportunities. Who knows if that's character or if that's like heart inconsistency. Like, I don't know, maybe there's like a Trey Sermon situation there where he's all the talent in the world, but he just can't put it together. Any other guys you want to talk about here that you want to touch on that really stick out to you? Some sleepers or something?
Sleeper running backs. 1 second. Let me pull up my notes that I made earlier very briefly. Sorry, this is really unprofessional.
No, or even like Roschon Johnson or A-Chain.
I was gonna say he's not really a sleeper anymore, Roschon Johnson though, but hopefully he gets the right landing spot.
Yeah, always going to be overshadowed because of Bijan, but definitely a decent prospect. I quite like Keaton Mitchell as well, from East Carolina. I think it's ECU Pirates, I think they are. He's again got like decent size, done it at like slightly lower level, but could be like a really explosive runner at the next level. So I like him, and I think teams might like him more than people realize. I think he might sort of go like maybe 4th or 5th round or something like that.
Wow,
and get a decent shot at like actual playing time.
That's a name I actually haven't watched any film on, so I'll have to go check him out after. But and also being unprofessional on this podcast, we've already made 3 mom jokes, and there's probably more to come. So if you have to check your phone for anything, we do that constantly. I love Izzy Abanikanda. I know he's kind of trending, but I was listening to Ray GQ, and he was mentioning that at his pro day, 440 and 5'10", 220, I think is what he's listed at. So I watched him film on him today. He gets stuck in the line a lot. Like he just, I don't know if that's like his offensive line or not, but I watched the Tennessee game. That dude broke some serious runs, and his burst once he gets in the second level is, it's up there. It's up there with the top tier of this running back group.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on the second level, he's like a bowling ball, right? Like you can't stop him at the second level. Again, like you pointed out already, it's just that vision. I think he lacks a little bit of patience and vision, and he's just like big man, run ball smash. Like instead of like
love those guys.
Yeah, instead of like sort of like a little bit of a pause, hesitation to try and wait for a gap to open up. But I think again teams are going to love him because he's like goal line ready to go. Do you know what I mean? Stick him in with like a 2-yard run to get, and he's going to smash through. So I like him as well as a prospect. Yeah, it was fun watching.
He's like Damian Pierce to some degree, where like I think he's going to be a guy that has like a 2-year window in the NFL where he gives you some really good fantasy output, and then might kind of fade away once he gets closer to the end of his rookie contract. All right, that's it. I mean, that's all I got for running backs. Mac, I know we're at like 40 minutes, so if you want to jump into the receivers here.
You're killing me, Petey. You're killing me.
He's been waiting.
Damn running backs. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's move into wide receivers here. Regan.
Position in Dynasty.
It is
in a 2 QB league.
But it's not a good class though, right? Not a great.
We got a couple. Doing my research, I was like, I swear, no one played a full season this past year for wide receiver. It was nuts. I was like, all right, well, look at their old stats. I'm like, thanks. Like, we'll just guess on it. We can hit this head on, Mac, you and I. But the first one, easy, is Jackson Smith and Jigba, Ohio. Like you said about in general, there's just nothing that hasn't been said already. The only comp on him, or not comp, but negative, is his top end speed. They say, he's just doesn't have that breakaway speed. But other than that, the guy's an absolute stud. And no one's, I don't think, is close to him at all. I don't know if go ahead.
Go on, no, totally agree. The top end speed stuff, I think.
It hasn't affected him yet. He did pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's bossed pretty much every cornerback he's come up against. He's yeah, he's been the elite producer on an elite offense, right? Do you know what I mean? And like that's not easy to do, to be the best guy out of all of the best guys, right? So like, I just again, injury permitting, he's like a lock for the number one wide receiver for me. I think he'll go in the top 10 to 15 picks.
Yeah, it's a great way. He had only 3 games this past season, and I'm guessing he just didn't want to push. It was a hamstring injury. He's going to be drafted. This happens all the time. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Waddle had that problem too, right? And then he tried coming back for the championship game, had one play, and then he was done. And then it's like, yeah, don't ruin your draft stock anymore. But I could see Houston taking him at 12.
Yeah, that was
him if Mechie will come back too, and him, why not? Yeah, he's good in the slot, finding the soft spot in the zone. So he's going to be a great wide receiver too. That's where I see him. So eventually.
Okay. Next one is do you have Zay Flowers as your number 2?
Yeah, I like Zay Flowers as my number 2. Been kind of like swapping him and Jordan Anderson, and now like I really like that Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss, but I don't think, again, I don't think the NFL seems to like him as much as like the fantasy community likes him. But yeah, going back to Zay Flowers, love Zay Flowers, just like
small guy.
Yeah, small guy, but like incredible reading of like coverage and finding space, and the juke, the burst, the agility, the hand eye for being a small guy and going up and getting a few contested catches. I just love those types of prospects. But then again, could turn out to be Rondell Moore, or he could turn out to be Steve Smith. Do you know what I mean? We don't know.
What's your comps? I know you hate doing comps.
It's hard because like everyone's their own self, and then like you've got it's so easy just be like, well, he kind of looks like that guy, so like we're gonna make it. But yeah, I think he's got a wide range of outcomes, because if he's not used right, and because he's undersized, or if he gets injured, but I really like him like for a high ceiling, but also it's kind of low floor.
Right. I love him in general. Exactly what you just said, though. It depends on where he falls and if they use him right, because he has great body control for a small guy. They consider his catch radius to be small, but he can still go get it. And his yak is amazing, yards after catch, which I love that.
I saw Zay Flowers. I saw him live a couple of times. I went to a couple of games this past year. I went to the UConn game. That dude was open on like every play. If he had better quarterback play, somebody who can actually freaking ball, his numbers would have been astronomical, because he had really good production last year. And that offensive line was the worst offensive I have seen in college football, just like period. It was atrocious. So the fact that he could put up anything last year was just super impressive.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. 100%.
Kansas City at 31, please. Would love that.
No. Patriots at 14.
No, come on. Don't waste his time there.
Waste his time. He's going to be the only receiver.
You got Juju.
Yeah, until his knee implodes.
Who we do a TikTok or something like
that.
Yeah, right.
The Wi-Fi's horrible there. He's going to be taking a lot of time. Mac, you want to hit the next one?
No.
Wow.
Zay, it ain't so. I'm all set. That's all I want to talk about. Addison, I'm not too keen on, but Jake, what, you like him?
I just really like how his like perfected his route tree is. He seems like really, really technical in his routes, and like it's like the sort of like stuff that NFL scouts are going to go, oh, like the way he dipped his head there to the left, but then pivoted right out of a break, and do you know what I mean? Stuff like that like you hear a lot of and read a lot of about how this guy's like a really good route technician, and I think route technicians in the NFL get targets. Simple as that. It doesn't matter if you're 185 and 6 foot like Devonta Smith, like you'll get targets if you're a route technician. And like, I'm not saying Jordan Addison's Devonta Smith, but I think he's like Devonta Smith light, if that makes sense. Like similar sort of size, similar sorts of traits. And he's
173 pounds.
Yeah, it's slight. Do you know what I mean? He's gonna need to put on some weight, but I think teams will also like it's the ability to create space and to get into space. It's so valuable at the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know. He can't create the separation on his own. That's the problem with any big corner. I just feel like it's not gonna work out too well. I don't hate slots at all. I love slots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Wait.
I just don't know. I was trying to go somewhere, but it wasn't working.
We know.
I was following you.
Yeah,
too predictable back.
Let's get to Mingo here. He's climbing up on fantasy radar here. So
why is he?
Then I wanted to talk about Mims too, but yeah, let's go with Mingo right now.
I love him. I just really like how, again, he's like one of those like reckless abandoned wide receivers that will like throw himself into the air horizontally to make a catch and come down on his neck and just get up and run off. Like he's just, I really like that sort of like like physical wide receiver that even though like doesn't pop off the charts test wise is just seems to continuously make plays, always making plays. He was in a decent offense last year, obviously decent quarterback play. I just think he's another one of those like could be like a really good wide receiver too, really good complementary piece to like a top guy, like a, do you know what I mean, like a Jackson Smith-Njigba or something like that. I really like how physical he is in the catch point.
I could see him like a Mike Williams, like just getting that high point of the ball, and just a good blocker too and stuff. So he's going to be out on the field.
Like a Mike Williams to a Keenan Allen type thing. Like that, I think that would suit Mingo really well.
Yeah. Any other receivers you want to talk about? I know we're running short on time here. Sorry.
Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson. I don't think I think he's the bust. If he goes around the first round, I think he's the bust of the first round, personally.
Wow. Yeah.
But he's 6'3".
He's big. It's just it's like the inconsistencies. Like there was like some games where he had like 3 catches for 40 yards against a bad team. Do you know what I mean? Or like he's made a lot of drops, and he doesn't seem to. There's a couple of highlights, but there's not many where he's plucking the ball out the air. Everything's tight into the body. Everything's a body catch. And NFL scouts, like everyone can do that. What really separates you as a wide receiver is your ability to pluck the ball out of the air in a contested situation. And when you're 6'3" with a wingspan like that, you're expected to do that. And he just doesn't. Like his film doesn't show much of that at all. So I don't think he's the guy that a lot of people were expecting to be at the next level. I think he's Mike Williams light.
N'Keal Harry.
Yeah. Good to know. All right. Are we ready? Oh, go ahead, Mac. You got something?
No, I was just going to say for a sleeper for me is Marvin Mims Jr. Just limited route tree, though. So it's going to take – he's not going to have fantasy impact this year. But somebody you could take in the 3rd round of your drafts and be patient with him. He has some great explosiveness and quickness, but tracks the ball well. So keep an eye out for him.
Little sleeper I like is Trey Palmer, Nebraska. He's got that like proper track speed, runs like a 10 to 100 meters sort of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? He's super inconsistent. Went to Nebraska thinking obviously he's going to get like a really good offense with Scott Frost. They didn't have that, and but he's got that sort of get him in space. He can weave and go. I mean, and he'll outpace most NFL corners. So like, I don't know, you might see him get picked up in like the 6th or like, do you know what I mean, the 7th, something like that. He might go undrafted, but yeah, he's got one of those like kind of like very, very, very elite traits that if exploited could yield something, but it's a bit of a shot in the dark, really.
Yeah, this draft class is backed up because of 2020 and stuff. So you're going to see some guys that go undrafted that get picked up later and stuff. So make sure you you're following Dynasty Brit and us. These little guys on the radar for some sleeper pickups later. Regan, what do we got for tight ends?
Tight ends, yeah. All right, we'll run through these real quick. I already got my my Gronk retirement party shirt on. All of my tight ends are set up. So first off the bat, tight ends, you will not be playing any of them in Dynasty this year. That's just how it goes. No rookie tight end has ever been relevant for the most
Excuse me, Pat Fryermuth, and who called that?
yeah, you
This
did
guy.
actually. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, the number one that everyone says is Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Absolute stud for the season. At least 1/3 of all offense of Notre Dame by far. The only bad thing about it is he came out of the out of Indy with 52 percentile in athleticism. And that's a big knock on the rest of the guys behind him in comparison. Did he just get a lot of work and that's why he looks so good, or is he actually who they think he is?
I think we see this a lot, or not a lot, but we see this with players from time to time, right? They test really awfully, but they're just really good on-field football players.
Yeah,
and I honestly think it's quite that simple for Michael Mayer. He understands football. You can see his tape. He plays the game of football well. He's a beast. He's a great blocker. He's a great catcher of the ball. Obviously, like you said, wide receiver, tight ends at rookie tight ends at the NFL level, like pretty much non-existent anyway. But yeah, it's a real puzzler, the poor testing, and I think obviously it will knock him down the draft.
Oh yeah,
which I mean, especially for some teams, it will push him down the board. But I like him. I think he's the safest high floor guy out of all of them there.
Yeah, the one thing I really like is it's literally 50% of the time he is out wide or he's on the line. It's really a good split, so he's a very well-rounded player. And we see in the NFL, and especially in fantasy, it's always nice when the tight ends split out wide. Just the chances of getting a pass is way higher than him just sitting in and blocking. So I think he's going to be a well-rounded player, and I think he goes to a great team, not a great team, but a good team that could use him, right? He could be great for fantasy, in 2 years.
Yeah, in 2 years. Yeah.
Listen to this, Regan. Negatives: oddly built, 6'5", 244 pounds. Not used much as a receiver. Only managed 15 reps on the bench at the combine. This is Dalton Schultz. Anybody would have loved Dalton Schultz the past couple of years. So be patient with Mayer.
I like it.
Won me a title.
Yeah,
he had like 29 points in championship week.
He won't now where he is.
He might. All
right, so the second you got Dalton Kincaid. This one's a little rough because he's 5-year senior, 23 years old already. That kind of threw me off.
It took him 5 years to get through senior year.
COVID year, right?
Exactly. So he stayed in there.
IQ score, not great.
Lots of people go to college for 7 years. Yeah. Anyway, continue, Regan. Sorry.
Yeah, he's mainly a pass catcher. He was out wide a lot, only on the line 34% of the time. Obviously, a lot different than Mayer. How do you feel about this? He didn't. Did he play? He didn't go to the combine. That's the one thing I wanted to throw out there as well. So, what do you got in him that you still have him at 2?
Yeah, I just really like him. I can see him probably see him going to the Patriots actually.
Okay.
He is like the prototypical Patriots.
No more tight ends.
But they already got Kasicki. That was his comp.
Only 1 year for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just the only thing that I think might knock him at the moment, he picked up an injury, didn't he?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
quite recently. So I probably need to address that in the rankings. I just like him for an all-round tight end. Again, he is that 5th-year senior, so he's probably a little bit more ready to play now than say someone like Michael Mayer.
Good point.
And it's so hard with tight ends in fantasy because it's all a crapshoot, right? So who knows? It could be Sam Laporta, or it could be any of them. Do you know what I mean? Past the first one, I think anyone there's a valid argument for pretty much anyone being 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you just brought him up. The next guy, Laporta. I'm liking this guy, but he is strictly just a pass catcher.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Played for Iowa. He was 30% of their receptions as well, just like there.
Which is like 5 receptions, right? Because they're like,
Speaking of 5, he only had 5 career touchdowns, which was kind of scary.
Wow.
I was like, that can't be right. It was.
Dude, I think Iowa had like multiple single-digit games last year.
Yeah, he had 153 receptions overall. I'm trying to think in general. I don't have his stats in front of me, but do you think this converts to the NFL? Okay, he's pretty much going to be a wide receiver.
It's so tough because he was like one of those like hybrid tight end wide receivers in an offense that averaged about 9 points a game. So like it's so hard to get a sense of like who he is on a good offense where like he could be released. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but he shows some sort. He's got like the measurables, right, and what have you. But again, if I'm taking him in a rookie draft in Dynasty, like I'm waiting until the 4th. If he's there in the 4th, I'll take him right. Maybe late 3rd. Do you know what I mean? If like wide receivers or running backs have come off that I wanted, but I'm not all that excited about him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this after we get past the first couple tight ends, it's kind of just drops off in general. He is an athlete, 92nd percentile in athleticism out of the Indy, which was great. The next guy, actually, do you have Washington next? Just want to double check. Yeah, Darnell Washington out of Georgia. This guy's an athletic freak, but he doesn't catch the ball much. He is 6'6", 264 pounds. Super athletic though. 4.640. I was very impressed by that. At 6'6" is insane. I'm pretty sure this is that viral video of him blocking the sled and just launching it as the other guys come up and it doesn't budge.
Yeah,
this guy is an absolute beast on the line. He's great on the line. Only 45 career catches in college.
You see when he catches the ball as well, and he starts to run. He says, "Yeah, it's almost like you're watching someone run through like quicksand." And he's like,
"Yeah."
But yeah, he's like you said, an absolute monster.
Yeah.
I think teams might eye him up higher in the draft than people think, just because like if they get D-line members injured, they can always just stick him in there at D-line as well. Like if they want to, like,
that's a good point.
Like, just run, just use your pace and size and run. I like him. NFL teams would like him because of his physical aspects, right? Whether he becomes like fantasy relevant is entirely dependent on how sort of inventive the offensive coordinator is that he lands with.
I literally was going to say I don't see him turning into a fantasy football guy. Like I don't see it. He's that big. He's going to have some red zone catches. I think that's going to be his thing because they're going to be able to put him in there, run it to his side, and then he just slips out. I'm all set though.
Yeah, it's like Mo Alley Cox.
That's exactly who I was going to say. I was like, oh, I didn't want to say Cox though in front of Mac. That was kind of my thing.
We'll have to block out his camera.
Sorry, that's what I started to Google, and then no, I stopped. My bad.
Is anybody else you want to touch on the tight ends? I think we kind of hit it pretty good. The first couple guys are really where you want to be. And then once you get to Darnell Washington, it kind of falls off. You're probably not going to take him in a 4-round rookie draft. If you want to, feel free. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, especially in the 4th of a rookie draft, right? There's so much more value in taking a wide receiver that might hit or running back.
Tight end, running back.
In the 4th. Well, what tight ends taken in the 4th round of rookie drafts have we seen come forward and be massive fantasy impact guys? I can't remember for the last 4 years, 5 years. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that's all for me, guys. All from me.
Love it.
Appreciate it, Jake. Thank you very much. We ran out of time, so we cannot get to rookie kickers. So we'll do that on another episode.
Hear more about Harrison Mevis.
Yeah, right.
Next episode.
Oh man, yeah, it's great.
Andre Sizemite. I don't even know how you say that last name. Yeah, no, thank you very much, Jake. Takers, give him a follow at Dynasty Brit, at 5 Yard Rush, the number 5. Go and read some stuff that he's written and check out those guys. It's much appreciated, Jake. Thank you very much. We happy draft night. If you want to jump on for the live, we'll be doing the first 10 rounds. Do that again.
Awesome. Guys. Whatever you want, just drop me a message before, like on the day, and I'm down. It's always with you guys.
All right,
I'll have to come to Boston at some point. That's for sure.
Oh,
yeah, you will. I told you I don't want to announce it, but yeah, we started developing some new stuff for this season, so it'll be fun to have you.
I'm really excited for you guys to next step.
Yeah, appreciate it. Alrighty, takers.
Okay, Jake.
Just a tip.
Thank you.
FFP. And music's not working, so I'm just ending. Bye, takers.
Hi guys. My mate's literally just outside, so I got to shoot real quick.
Oh, you good, man?
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Yeah, pleasure.
I gotta go too.
See you, Jake.
Ryan's mom's calling me.